It is currently 2:42 a.m. as I record this video, and a few minutes ago the Lane Kiffin news dropped. It sounds like it is pretty much a done deal that he's going to be going to LSU, and I have a lot of thoughts on this. I'm currently also pretty tired as I just uploaded 10 times yesterday. We're going to go ahead and keep the uploads rolling as we're going to talk about the Lane Kiffin news that might just break college football. But before we get started, if you're a big fan of college football, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Leave a like if you want to support today's video, and let me know what player, team, topic, or situation I can cover next. Now let's go ahead and get started and talk about this Lane Kiffin news. After uploading 10 times yesterday, I ended up seeing the notification from Brett McMurphy that Lane Kiffin is probably going to end up at LSU. On3 first reported it, saying, quote, Lane Kiffin will hold a team meeting Sunday morning at 9 a.m. with an announcement regarding his future. McMurphy ended up quote tweeting it, saying, quote, Lane Kiffin is essentially demanding to finish the season with Ole Miss while simultaneously threatening to poach Ole Miss's roster and staff if he can't. It's unfortunately gotten even messier than expected as emotions are high. Okay, so at face value, if all this is true, I have a ton of thoughts on this. One, I just don't understand the Lane Kiffin hype. I think he's a good guy, he's funny, and he has been successful at Ole Miss, but why on earth are we acting like this guy is the best coach in the history of football? I mean, he hasn't even made the college football playoff yet. He will by the end of next week, but he hasn't yet. He's done a good job at Ole Miss, but he hasn't been phenomenal. Last year, Ole Miss had a ridiculously talented team, as I can go through their roster and name all their big-time players, but you had Jackson Dart, who's one of the best quarterbacks of the last 5 years in college football, two incredible wide receivers who were drafted in the first 3 rounds, some incredible defensive linemen, and a real chance at going to the playoff last year. They had a Swiss cheese schedule in which they played Furman, Middle Tennessee, Wake Forest, and Georgia Southern. They played Kentucky, who was near the bottom of the conference, and also had Arkansas and Mississippi State. Those 3 games are pretty much free wins in the SEC nowadays, and they got Oklahoma and Georgia at home. Wait, there's a part I forgot to mention. They lost that game at home to Kentucky. This is a Wildcats team led by Brock Vandegrift, who could barely throw a football last year, and somehow, someway, Kentucky came into Starkville and won that game 20-17. They also lost the game a couple weeks later to LSU, giving them their second loss of the season, and then against Florida, they also lost this game. Billy Napier had the Gators rolling by the end of the 2024 season, but Jackson Dart played awful in the last few minutes and had about what seemed like 5 interceptions, and they lost to Florida. They barely squeaked by Mississippi State in the Egg Bowl, struggled against a bad Oklahoma team, and then played 4 horrendous teams in the non-conference schedule. They ended up having 2 good wins as they beat South Carolina and number 3 Georgia, and outside of that, they didn't really do anything. I very much thought Lane Kiffin underachieved last season, and there was a ton of whining about how they didn't make the college football playoff. I mean, the team went 9-3 and lost at home to Kentucky, and losing to the Wildcats, in my opinion, is an automatic disqualification for making the playoff. I know I got a little bit sidetracked here, but I just don't understand the Lane Kiffin hype. In 2023, Ole Miss also had a good season, but they got blown out in their 2 biggest games of the year against Bama and Georgia. What I'm trying to say is Lane Kiffin doesn't beat the elite schools, and for some unknown reason, every school in the country is willing to write him a blank check to make him the head coach. Is Lane Kiffin even that much of an upgrade from Brian Kelly? I don't really know. Comparing the 2 resumes, some could argue Kelly was a better coach, and all this to say I just don't understand it. What I also don't understand is why Lane Kiffin even wants to leave Ole Miss. Ole Miss has become one of the premier programs in the SEC over the last couple of years. Ole Miss is willing to do anything to keep him there, the fans love him, and he's having a ton of success. Even though there is pressure, there is less pressure to win at a school like Ole Miss than there is at LSU or Florida, and based on the track record at LSU and Florida in recent memory, why would you add all of this extra pressure to yourself just for a little bit more money? I've been scrolling through Twitter and Reddit the last couple of minutes trying to find some good quotes for the video, and the 4th quarter tweeted out, overall just becoming a sad situation. Has been a near perfect fit when both parties have benefited tremendously over the last 6 years, and unfortunately looks like we are trending towards a messy breakup and Lane going from hero to villain in Oxford. Hope not. Overall, this is a very sad situation, and I truly hope Lane is actually not serious about all this stuff. It's one thing if he is actually taking the LSU job, but it's another thing if he's going to try to blackmail Ole Miss and some of the players on the team into basically letting him coach. In this case, Lane probably does have a ton of leverage, as Ole Miss had a near perfect season and is going to go to the college football playoff, so if Ole Miss fans want to see those guys actually suit up or see them compete, they kind of have to give in to Lane, but at the same time, he also may be coaching for an arch rival now. I know some Ole Miss fans were saying the LSU game means a lot more to them than the Mississippi State game, and I don't know how true that actually is, but either way, this is just insane to me. What Lane Kiffin is doing right now is absolutely ridiculous, and for a guy who's funny and seems pretty down to earth, I'm not sure why he's trying to cause this mess. Also, if you're LSU, I feel like karma is going to get you eventually, as this is now the second time they've tried to poach an elite coach, as they got Brian Kelly from Notre Dame, and that flew in their face, and honestly, I can't see this Lane Kiffin situation going all that well. Maybe he would win a national championship there, but that is extremely hard in today's day and age, and with the kind of money they're offering and the expectations, he's going to have to win a national championship there, or he's going to be seen as a failure. Whereas if he would just stay at Ole Miss, he pretty much has job security the rest of his life, the Rebels can match almost everything that LSU could offer, he already has his system in place, and he could have a statue built. On another note, I'm a diehard Mizzou fan, and I heard the Elijah Drinkwitz stuff for the last couple of weeks, and I never understood that either. Mizzou is willing to write him a blank check, he'd have job security there the rest of his life, and he already has his system in place at Mizzou, so why on earth would you leave for a school like Auburn or Florida, who fires everyone after 3 or 4 years? I don't know why these coaches like to leave stable situations, and I guess there could be two reasons for it. One, it could be purely financials, and two, they just may want another challenge. Maybe Lane Kiffin has gotten bored at Ole Miss, maybe he's looking for a new challenge, or maybe he loves how much power he has on the sport. The truth is probably somewhere in the middle, but either way, this has just gotten ridiculous at this point. I feel like every day Lane Kiffin was supposed to announce something, and he acted cryptic in pretty much every interview, and it was honestly starting to get annoying. As someone who tries to cover college football as unbiased and unemotionally as possible, I was trying to give Lane Kiffin the benefit of the doubt, but it has started to get on my nerve. If he really wanted to leave Ole Miss, he should just say so at this point, and if he doesn't, he should just stay. If he truly does have good intentions as a person or a coach, he has nothing to gain from drawing this out, as at the end of the day, the people who might suffer from this the most are the fans and the players. Ole Miss fans have been left in uncertainty and might be losing the coach they really enjoy, and these players also might be strung along. These guys have put their body and hearts on the line for Lane all season, have helped Ole Miss have a historic year, and now their head coach is just being an idiot about all this stuff. It definitely takes away and puts a damper on what these kids have accomplished at Ole Miss this year, and if all these rumors are true and he is going to Ole Miss and is trying to poach players, it puts all these guys in a horrible spot. That is honestly him not being a good leader, and I would not want that in my head football coach if I was an AD. But again, LSU is desperate to be nationally relevant again, and is desperate to win a national championship, it seems. If they were willing to spend that much money to fire Brian Kelly and put up this kind of money to get Lane Kiffin, they're probably not too concerned about how this would affect the players at Ole Miss, as they will probably also turn around and write blank checks to the top Ole Miss players. I definitely do not dislike LSU, and I think it's cool when they are good, but college football is in a weird spot right now. Players and fans are being put in a weird position, there's not a lot of rules about all this stuff, and we're still trying to navigate the whole transfer portal NIL world. It's very confusing for everybody, and this Lane Kiffin situation is the last thing we need at the moment. Never in a million years did anybody think a coach would leave his team mid-season, yet alone a team that's headed to the college football playoff. If this does in fact go through, we might be seeing more of this. We might see coaches bail on their teams in the last couple of weeks, we might see more players opt out at the end of the season, and it all becomes a big mess. I'm honestly not sure how any of this gets fixed, but I just hope that Lane Kiffin just decides to do this already, and if he truly is going to leave, sign the papers in Baton Rouge tomorrow, let the Ole Miss players know, and stop dragging this on any longer. Again, I don't want to sound like a hater, as at the end of the day, all these people have to do what's best for their own lives, and this is just a child sport, so it shouldn't be that big of a deal. But again, this kind of stuff has ripple effects on the sport of college football. And while the sport is growing and expanding, there are a lot of casual fans and diehard fans who are starting to check out because it's become so ridiculous and so far from what it was supposed to be. I'm definitely very curious to see how this plays out, but if I was a betting man, which I'm not, I would bet that this blows up in the face of LSU and mostly in the face of Lane Kiffin. This definitely won't end well for him, but what do you guys think? If you're an LSU or an Ole Miss fan, what the heck do you think of this Lane Kiffin situation? How do we fix this mess that we've gotten into in college football? And what are your thoughts on the matter? Be sure to let me know down below, leave a like if you want to support today's video, subscribe if you're new, and check out one of the videos on the end screen. Hope to see you guys again soon, but until next time, peace.